Alright guys, that's Kremp again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. More drama emerging from the COD Twitter account last night after Shotzzy gave his thoughts on an interesting tweet with regards to OpTic Texas. They've now come out with an interesting assessment from the players on who is the hardest kill in the league. Many players, of course, giving an answer. Simp, maybe Cellium, maybe HyDra, among plenty of others. Envoy, though, refuses to give any free dope, as he describes it, to any of his competition. This caused a fair bit of backlash, really, in the scene, especially around this general feeling that Los Angeles Thieves are stepping more and more so into that villain role. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new, as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into today. Starting with Najot, just real quick. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Thieves. Thought this is a pretty funny back and forth because he wasn't very happy here in the Gulag when he eventually loses this fight. But he was in the reply saying, "Damn, I actually hit the couple of shots before this, but you didn't post it." And the boys are like, "Yeah, that's engagement farming, baby. That is how it works out here." Just wanted to quickly say this next weekend, so not this weekend as in tomorrow, but the weekends following, is a big Halo event, basically, right? So the season's about to get underway. They've played loads of online stuff for a long time now, and, well, Formal and the OpTic Halo boys will be attempting to go one better than they've achieved over the last couple of years. Of course, it's now been back-to-back. Well, they won in 2022, finals lost in 23, finals lost in 24. So, Formal's probably seeing this year of Halo as, I don't know, maybe his final year, at least on this Halo game. I know that many, including myself, I like Halo, but watching the same game again and again for years in a row can get a bit tiresome. Obviously, they've got some new maps and stuff, which is beneficial, but maybe they don't design the maps like they used to. Anyway, Formal and the OpTic team, they've got Bound over there now. Renegade, of course, they've made the changes they did to try and become even better. Their first real test in a proper environment is happening in a few days' time. So, yeah, they got the team together. Obviously, Formal, captain of the roster, he was pulling the strings, let's say, to even make this happen. And just to keep everything in mind, I'm sure some of you guys have probably ended up, going to this, actually. But, April 18th to the 20th. So next weekend's Esports Stadium Arlington is where the HCS OpTic major is going to be, the first major of the year in Arlington, Texas. And this is all of the schedule, and some of you guys happen to be there. It's kind of interesting, right? Because that Esports Stadium Arlington, they hosted quite a lot of things there. They used to host the COD majors there as well. And it used to be, well, maybe it still is, I don't know. But it used to be OpTic Stadium, right? That's where they would host things. And obviously they're hosting this there as well, because presumably it makes sense to do so. Whether OpTic still own that stadium, I don't know. I'm not actually sure that they do. Surely it makes more sense to rent it for things like this than otherwise, especially when you're also renting the Credit Union of Texas Event Center in Allen, whatever it was called, to do the World Championship and Major 2, because this event center is nice, but for what they want to do for Call of Duty, they felt like there were better options elsewhere. So anyway, that was the update on Formal and what's happening on that piece. There was a clip I wanted to share here from Doug. I thought it was actually a really funny clip. They're watching the scrims, of course, last night, OpTic versus Cloud9, and giving some credit to Doug Sensor Martin and his playstyle. We know that he's involved with the Boston breach. We're not 100% sure, well, how much he's involved or how much he's always been involved. Last year, it was one of the big talking points of the year. Boston made a number of interesting changes, especially, the pentagram move, keeping Snoopy in the team, and, it was a controversial decision to keep Snoopy, right? Many thought that it was better that he went down to challenges, and maybe he needed to be benched. He didn't understand how to play the game. I agree that Slasher was probably in the right in some of his assessments with the team at the start of the season, but Snoopy was clearly an incredible talent who, in my opinion, deserved to stay, and I think he's proved that so far this season at the very least. But people are even saying maybe a team that's significantly better than Boston next year might try and grab Snoopy and bring him into the lineup instead. So that's a talking point to keep in mind. But Doug, we think, was calling many of the shots last year on Boston, even though there was Zed, there was Dens, there were other individuals involved. There was a rumor anyway that Doug was effectively playing the shadow general manager and was actually calling all of the shots. And I think there's some evidence to support that. This year, I think it's more evidence that kind of Doug is involved in the team. The aforementioned fellas that I just said, Zed and Dens, they no longer are involved in the team. So I think that, yeah, Doug is deeply involved in the Boston camp. Obviously, Shawnee's over there as a coach as well, so, you know, I'm sure that's a decision-making factor too. But the team of Snoopy, Cammy, Awakening, and Purge seems to be a team that Doug's happy with and wants to see them succeed. And maybe they can go one further than they have shown so far this year. So anyway, Doug as a player, though, was, I mean, he was a character, that is for sure. And I thought it was a kind of nice back and forth here, especially when, well, as Cruz says in the replies, nobody got the bomb down like Doug. And then even Ghosty says, go to teammate, and we get this clip, which is a pretty legendary clip now from the Challengers event that Boston hosted. This was before Ghosty was in the league, obviously. And, you know, we've got Kremp, we've got Doug, we've got Shawnee, we've got Ghosty talking all kinds of trash. This is when Ghosty says, like, you're only good online, you're only good online. And then he looks at John and he says, you know, you got a ring, pretty typical. I think that's what he's doing right here. So, yeah, good moments. This is what they have to say.
Doug was, like, hella valuable back in the day. No bullshit. No bullshit. This is like, bro, Doug would literally just put his head down, not even care about challenging somebody, and just jump into the hill and just soak and just hide in hill. He would just hide in hill and just so he wouldn't challenge anybody. And honestly, it just elevated everybody around him. It just because everybody around him, like Doug was just always in hill, so you could just play off of Doug in hill, and then bada bing, bada boom. Like,
I have a devil's advocate to that though. When you have a player like that, doesn't it make timings really weird? Because there are times where you're gonna want someone.
100%. You're not playing team timing COD at that point. You're just saying, "Hey, Doug, get my time. I'm going crazy." That's the type of COD you're playing. That
you're gonna be through a lot of spots. And you're gonna be in a tough situation.
I mean, yeah, Ben, of course. But I will say, like, when you're rolling a team, when you had a player like that, it was godlike because he's ensuring that you're gonna win regardless.
Yeah, it was godlike, bro. That's you.
Because there are times where you're frying and you can't capitalize on it because everybody's got a different agenda on the map. So like.
You're so fucking shit, you leave. You're so shit, I know you hear me. I said you won't twice. You're only good online. You're only good online. You're only good online. You got a world champ, so that's typical. But the rest of your team, dog shit. They can't fuck with you, man.
The hardest, I mean, no one, man. The hardest, bro. What do you think, I'm giving free dope?
I would say Cell because he just doesn't give you a free kill.
Paco just because he slows down randomly.
I hope I'm hard to play against, but like sometimes I do be feeding. So.
Probably Cellium or Shotzzy.
Oh damn, Cell, he got my number, man. I mean, did you not see the numbers, bro? He's running my.
Don't get me started on this.
Maybe Simp or FaZe. I think he's one of the best players in the league and in the world.
So this, though, is that clip on hardest pro player to play against. And this is a common question that gets asked every so often, and usually the answers are pretty straightforward. For many of the ARs, they will say Cellium. Cellium is usually like considered to be the hardest one to play against. I wonder who Cellium would say. You know, he might say someone like HyDra. It depends on your role, right? Because I think Dashy would probably say Cell. I've certainly heard other players say Cell plenty of times before, just because the way that the way that he plays the game, the way that he sets up on angles, the way that he makes himself very, very difficult to kill. It's not like his kills, Cellium's, are always the most impactful, but he plays in such a way that he will get kills, and that is, you know, what he believes and the team believes is the most effective way for him to play to actually help out the team. Does it sometimes go too far? Sure. But the decisions he makes on the map, setting up on this head glitch, playing in this certain way, and of course just having an incredibly good shot and sense for the game makes him a really difficult player to kill. Kremp even says that historically for him, on his previous teams in this team, Cellium always has his number. The SMGs may lean another way. They may prefer to go for someone like Simp, for example. Simp, I think, is, you know, just so good. I mean, this is like we're preaching to the choir here, really, right? But the point is that Simp understands so well, you know, the game, when to play fast, when to play slow. And he's not always absolutely on fire, but there's a reason why Simp is considered to be really difficult. Certain ARs will probably tell you someone like Shotzzy and HyDra, as we have seen in this footage here, where someone like Shotzzy, the movement that he has, the same applies for HyDra as well. I think there certainly are players that were terrorized by HyDra. Certainly Modern Warfare 2. Like, this guy was, you know, absolutely doing it all. And I'm sure the same is true for Shotzzy as well. So Gwinn says HyDra. you know, we've got Shotzzy, we've got Cellium, we've got Simp. Those are many of the names that are discussed. Interesting that there's no mentions here for Scrap. I mean, look, Scrap shoots incredibly straight, but he is killable, right? I think that's the point. That the way that Scrap plays, you are gonna be able to gun him because you're gonna catch him, you know, being very aggressive and playing very fast. He's just gonna be incredibly impactful. So there's a bit of a debate there between the pair of them. But the real thing that was causing the discussion, right, was what Envoy had to say, because Envoy refused to say anyone, right? And I don't really mind this from a content perspective. Again, I think it's good content, again, that the league is here put together. But it has been, you know, there are loads of people in the Reddit replies saying, just answer the question, stop with this, like, free dope gimmick, like, who really cares, why are you trying to be a villain and all this stuff? And look, I think Envoy is a class guy, I've got no issues there, but I do understand why people are going to say, yeah, you know, come on, you're not that good, just give a player who's actually good that you struggle to play against, right? And I'm sure that they exist out there. Maybe Envoy is just feeling himself, right? Because he's got Scrap now on his team, he's got HyDra now on his team. Like, what could possibly go wrong? Well, I mean, look, I imagine they recorded this way back at Major 1. I don't know when they recorded this, right? Presumably they recorded this content a long time ago. Maybe it was at Dallas, but it can't have been Dallas because Huke's here, right? And he wasn't playing for the team at Dallas. So, yeah, presumably this is kind of like old footage that they're coming out with now, but I do get it that people are saying, oh, come on, like, let's actually answer the question. But it makes the content better that he didn't answer it, and he kind of refused to, as he said, give any other players free dope and give them any gas. And I kind of respect the mentality to be like, yeah, my team's the best, I'm the best. Like, nobody's difficult to play against. We have, and obviously he does have players in mind, but he doesn't want to say it because, well, you know, whatever, right? You guys can fill in the blanks there. Obviously, though, this type of attitude, it works if you're winning, right? Like, if you want to be the Dark Prince and LA Thieves are kind of going to be the villains of the scene again, you got to actually win. And this is what's interesting at the top of the league right now is that, you know, is everyone going to be a villain? Like, Shotzzy's kind of done this. I think it's come to an end now, but Shotzzy did the villain arc when he was roasting all the other teams back in January. I think he learned his lesson for that one, and he's not going to do that again. So now OpTic are very much back on the, you know, the Jedi side of the debate. But then you've got FaZe, who they've always been the villains. Like, they win everything. I mean, they win most things, and this year they've certainly won everything. They are not especially well liked, certainly Drazah, that applies to. So it's interesting for Envoy and Thieves because they can take it a couple of ways. If it's true that we are going to get more grand finals like we saw at Major 1, maybe OpTic just are good, but they're not quite good enough this year, and it's again FaZe versus Thieves. You know, I think Thieves will want to position themselves as the crowd favorite, as the fan favorite in those series. But, you know, maybe they're not doing the best job of that right now. So definitely intrigued to your perspective in the comments below. Another player that, of course, could have been mentioned, but has only been in the league recently is the likes of a Neptune. Certainly if, you know, Shotzzy, HyDra, Huke, these type of guys are difficult to play against for some. Neptune's got to be in that conversation as of late. I think he turned 23 yesterday, so happy birthday to him. And actually, yeah, he said it here, and Dashy says, happy birthday, brother, in the reply. So very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. A couple of interesting clips to close out the video with as well. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Right, remember playing Kyler at the beginning of AW? I thought that kid was cheating.
Yo, I told a story on the broadcast. We were talking about Kyler. I said one of the first times I played him was a solar, and I was on TK, and it was an S&D, and he was at B site, and he was beating the fuck out of us so bad that we were like, all right, yo, if you see him run away and come where he's at,
that's insane. Like, you're playing against a hacker.
I will never forget that. We're like, yo, if you see who, call him out and get together.
Dude, I remember
it was so good.
It was the beginning of AW before I went pro, so I was in open bracket with Kyler. Like, so I had to play against him. He got the game 2 weeks early, and I remember a screenshot came out of Pro 8s at the beginning of the game because they let Kyler play because he's like God. Like, he dropped 70 in Pro 8s at the beginning of the game. I was actually flabbergasted.
Bro,
I was flabbergasted. It was a retreat hard point. He had 70. I said, what?
Yeah, there were a couple people on the tail end where I was like,
I'm blocking
that.
I'm blocking
with like Swartly and shit. Like, what the?
Like, I remember when I first played Simp and BL3 wages, and I was like, yo, what's the rule? Like, you got to be 18. How old's that guy?
I got years before he comes in here and ruins everything.
I
gotta win now.
Let's get better.
Like 2 more years, bro.
I gotta win now.
You should be weak.
Cellium didn't retire me? No, it did not.
Dude, we banned Cell from IW8s because we thought he was cheating.
I remember he came in there, dude, and it was Matt. He had me crying. He was like, none of this fucking guy play.